Just round the corner from UFO, the more established Marquee Club was already showcasing bands that would become the virtuoso kings of progressive rock, like Jethro Tull and Yes, fronted by vocalist John Anderson.
I went to see Yes with 30 other people at the Marquee one night, and the guy next to me said, you know, they're looking for a drummer. And I met John, introduced myself. He said, oh yeah man, yeah, give us a call, come back next Tuesday, we'll give you an audition. And I never called, you know, and I often wonder if I'd have called, what would have happened to my life?
Life in Yes for jazz drummer Bill Bruford was like this.
The group started as a cover band, like most groups do. You start playing Beatles tunes and a couple of tunes by the Fifth Dimension, and like you would. And then we got bored and we'd extend the section. So well, it's quite good up to here, but let's stick in another bit here where it goes like rhythm and blues. All right, you know, we'd stick that in. And then the thing would get longer and longer, till eventually somebody inevitably said, well, let's like make one up ourselves. John was a very keen listener, an absorber of music, a bit like blotting paper, you know, he absorbed music. There was Magdalene on Sibelius and TV themes. He'd start singing things. He'd say, John, this is the theme to Bonanza. And he said, oh, never mind, stick it in, you know.
Yes never said no. They stitched movie soundtracks to folk music, to modern jazz, to classical music, to TV themes, pop music.
And the only people we didn't concern ourselves with, I think, at all was the audience.
If you couldn't make the London clubs, couldn't find progressive rock albums in the shops, and rarely heard it on the radio, you could, by the end of the 60s, see every band in one glorious drug and rain-drenched experience at a pop festival near you. This was the first golden age of the British Music Festival, a new community in which no one was more welcome than the progressive rock group.
Everybody had a festival that you went along and played and heard all different types of band, and people would listen to a jazz-orientated band, you know, a hard rock band, a sort of a dance type band, and they would sit there and they'd listen to the lot.
Certainly the outdoor live music experience was generally free. It always seemed like it was a sunny day, the weather was gorgeous, everybody was smiling and happy and all of that. It was a very sort of hippie thing.
It was really music. It really was music. It wasn't any other reason. Yeah, people got a bit smashed and you know, sort of bonked in the open air. That was just the road crew.
The quaint Suffolk seaside town of Aldborough, now home to Pete Sinfield, original lyricist for the intimidating new band he inadvertently named King Crimson.
I mean, we had an ethos in Crimson. I'm sure people at Gentle Giant and then other bands, we just refused to play anything that sounded anything like a Tin Pan Alley pop song. So if it sounded at all popular, it was out. So it had to be complicated. It had to be more expensive chords. It had to have strange influences. If it sounded like, you know, too simple, we would make it more complicated. We'd play it in 7/8 or 5/8 just to show off. For the court of the Crimson.
Crimson's first big show-off opportunity came in July 1969 when they supported the Rolling Stones in Hyde Park, unleashing their unique, highly rehearsed sound on a totally unprepared audience.
They played Schizo Man particularly well on that day. They really steamed. It was a monster. played Mars or Schizoman or something, were our heavier pieces, and there was a silence at the end, and nobody knew whether to clap or not. That was good. And then they would go. That was the sort of stuff we liked. We really liked shocking people.
Unbelievable. We were scared to death. Nobody knew that rock musicians could play like that. To execute rapid passages very deafeningly loud. Then exactly the same passage, everybody playing the unison thing, but very, very quiet. I mean, this was scary. This was the best group in the world.
Mike Giles one night was playing the cymbals, playing Mothers in Birmingham. He ended up playing the cymbals like this. So there was no noise at all. And he just poised and didn't do anything. And we thought, wow, I was thinking. And Fripp panicked and took off his boot and started banging the stage with his boots because he couldn't stand the tension. The amount of ego and power and experience that went into the first album was extraordinary. Maybe that's inherent in that, and that strength was also the seeds of its destruction.
The shock and awe that both defined and deified King Crimson were completely absent from the whimsical, slightly stoned sound still emanating from Canterbury. The remaining Wildflowers now took the road out of town as a band called Caravan.
When half of the Wildflowers as such went off and formed Soft Machine and managed to get a record deal, we thought that perhaps we could do the same. So we were very much like looking to see how they were doing and trying to do the same thing ourselves.
I suppose with the Canterbury scene you have progressive music at its most melodic. It's to do with these people being able to write quite good tunes, being in contact, I think, with a kind of British melodic tradition, which maybe has to do more with 20th century classical music than with pop music. You know, you hear distant echoes of Vaughan Williams and Britain and that kind of thing.
In my treetop world, doing nothing at all.
Certainly the surrounding countryside and what have you, you seem to get, you know, a bit of inspiration from all that, sitting about in the sunshine, making up bits of music.
And in me, all you want.
Living off girlfriends, you know. Great fun.
But join me anytime that you please.
Court jesters, Crimson Kings, Lost Souls and Magic Men. This was a broad church. A very English music, infused with childhood fantasies and the quirkiness of a small island race.
Spike Milligan, Edward Lear, you know, Lewis Carroll, stuff like that. And we had our own kind of built-in popular surrealism right from the humorous poets and writers of the late 19th, early 20th century. Long before they invented surrealism actually on the continent. You know, we had Lewis Carroll.
At that time we were making quite a large effort to be English. Probably why we didn't go down too well in Germany whenever we went there.